sometimes these bad things happen, but if we can be there for each other, they don't have to stay hurting and they don't have to stay like that, you know? Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great, Tracie. Honestly, it is so wonderful to chat with you. I'm so mad at you right now.
Oh
Uh,
no. I'm sorry.
I cried twice in this
Oh,
film, and the second time it was funny because it's March break. My kids are home, and I'm
yeah.
watching this film, and they don't know why Dad is so deeply touched because this film is just so special. It is just incredible. I adored it. Bob Trevino likes it. Is such a special piece. Thank you so much for the time to talk with me about it. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for being open to the film and thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean when I say it because it really is something special. And then I want to ask where the film came from, and the final coda, if you will, on the film was the nail in the coffin for me. I was like, oh my goodness. So can you tell me a little bit about where the film began?
Sure, sure. So, even this is a work of fiction, but it's inspired by a real situation, a real friendship in my life. And I had very similar experiences with my father, and then it is my emotional truth. This journey is very much the emotional journey that I've gone on as a human being on this planet, you know. And what happened was sometimes in my life, my dad would disappear for a year or two, especially my adult life. He would get angry and kind of disappear, and it was really hurt a lot. And I was a people pleaser and I wanted to fix it. And sometimes I just really didn't understand why he was so upset, you know. And one of these times he wouldn't call me back, wouldn't email me back. And so I put his name into Facebook and I accidentally friended another man with his name who just was kind to me, unexpected. I as soon as I saw it felt great. I was like, oh, my dad's back. My dad likes something of mine. We're back. We're okay. And then I realized it wasn't him. And but it had felt so good, to have someone with that name. They had access to my heart because of his name, and that he, they could think that, there are movies where this would have gone a completely different direction. It would have been like a horror story or, something like that. But the fact that in real life it wasn't like that, and it's proof that it can be different in real life if we really are kind to each other. We can make a difference. And so I just felt so blessed that this human being was kind to me and really changed my life. Just small acts of kindness over the years, that I felt an obligation to share that because, a lot of times we think, oh, that's not the world we live in. I'm like, no, it is the world we live in. I'm proof. I'm proof that this is it. We just have to choose to see that and choose to be that way. But we do live in that world.
Well, this is it's such an incredibly emotional ride. And like you said, this is your emotional truth, even though it is a fictional story. So what was that experience like for you? Because you're telling this story from your own life
Yeah.
and having opportunity. It was it like a rage room, so to speak, or was it an opportunity?
I think um making the movie was very cathartic. I realized in hindsight that I had been, metaphorically carrying all this baggage, throughout my life and turning it into art, turning your pain into art and sharing it, and then having the catharsis of other people saying, I can relate and I can relate and it matters. And then you get to let go of it in a way, and you get to let go of it in a way that like is actually helpful for people, which is the best thing in the world. So the whole point of storytelling, I think, is to tell stories that other people can relate to and that they can, feel that there are their own stories too. They say specificity is universal. You think that this is such a specific story that people can't relate, but I'm finding, it crosses cultures and it demographics of all kinds. And but yeah, it was very vulnerable. There were tears on, quiet tears on set and quiet tears, at the end of the days of just both of gratitude and of catharsis. Not just me. I mean, I felt so blessed to have the cast and crew that I had and know that they had my back. You cast the cast, but you also cast the crew, and we
Mm.
really worked together to create this environment where we could all heal a little bit. We were all bringing different hurts and different situations in, and these incredible actors who just really showed up and brought themselves. And so Barbie Ferreira is not playing me, but we have very similar experiences in life. So you kind of look at her experiences, my experiences, and crossover, and in the middle is the universal shared human experience, that people are relating to. So
Well, that's what I mean. This is such a beautiful journey across the board. Like for both Bob and for forgive me,
Lily, yeah,
Lily's
yeah,
character as well, because they're on these different paths, and it is a healthy relationship. This is a healthy friendship that
yeah,
develops, and I've it's my own story a little bit. I worked with youth for roughly 20 years, and many of them were looking for family outside of their family.
yeah.
And I was wondering if you could speak about that because the idea of found family is something that really I think has become a popular notion in the last, especially in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to think, I mean, if you think that all you have is and I'm not saying that biological family is not important, but if you think that's all you have, how small is that thinking too, like if and instead it's like you have that, and maybe you'll get what you want and need from that, or maybe you won't. Maybe not everybody's so lucky to get what they want and need from that. I'm learning more and more people have not, so that you don't keep going to the hardware store for milk is another phrase, like, but there, this movie is about sort of learning to let go of the people that continually hurt you to make room for the people that want to love you. And there are people that want to love you and they're right there. And it might be, your neighbor who says, "Are you okay?" after an earthquake, or it might be, somebody holds the door open at the store and says, "Can," or it might be your childhood best friend or whoever, it could be a teacher, and so to me, this idea of chosen family and found family, it's infinitely powerful in a way because there's no limit to how big it can be too.
Yeah.
You have, I found chosen family with my Facebook dad, and his wife and their daughter and his daughter. And then I hey, look at that.
The internet has agreed with you.
Yes. Zoom likes it. Um, and then and then I found family with my cast and crew. And now I found family with the audiences who come up, members who tell me like I can relate to this and this is my story and thank you, and we're sharing, and now I'm like, how big can this get? Why do we have to be limited to this small group of people that we chase for love and attention, when really we do belong, we all belong, we're all worthy of love, and there's people all around us that can maybe fit and we can. Another thing that was really important to me with the film was that you don't have to be perfect, these are two imperfect people. They're a little broken and they help each other heal. And I think this idea that you have to be perfect to step outside yourself or have a friend or ask for help, it's not the case at all. We're all a little broken, we all need each other, and we're all not all so different either, in the end. So
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because to me I think that may be the key line in the film.
yeah,
Is we're all just a little bit broken.
yeah,
And I wonder if we could talk about that too, because it's not in this film, it's not said in a negative way.
yeah,
I think it's Bob too. It's
yeah,
Bob too that
yeah.
says it, and it's said in such a way that it's actually sort of like this is a good thing. It's good for us to
Yeah.
say this. How can that be a good thing?
I think the acceptance of it is good because then you can heal and you can deal with it. You can see your imperfections as beautiful, or are they even imperfections? They're what make us who we are. And there's that Japanese art. I think it's Japanese. With the dish. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You break a plate and then you seal it with gold. And I thought about that a lot making this movie. That there's a lot of people that are grieving that have been through trauma in this film, and yet they're hanging on and they're being there for other people and they're beautiful. And I feel like that their cracks are what make them beautiful.
Well, that's great that you say that. That's really interesting because that is such a beautiful style of art to
Yeah.
take these broken pieces and put them back together. And one of the things, actually, the probably the thing I adore most about this film is that the relationship between Bob and Lily is just so pure. It is safe, it is trustworthy, it is open, but it's sprinkled with these grace moments, which just breathe life into her. Whether it's okay, it's the puppies. I'm telling you, it's the The puppies were the first time that got me. I was like, come on. But
I was a
it
little sneaky. I was a little sneaky.
was, you broke me early. It's no. But can you talk a little bit about that? Because what do you think the power of these grace moments are?
I think, we have these traumas, and if someone just holds space for us to say, this happened to me, this happened to me, and without judgment, this happened and it was hard for me. First of all, holding space, and then the reciprocity of someone else sharing those kind of things, and in that particular situation, without telling everything, it's for me, it's proof that he heard her. He heard her story. He was really listening, and that he wants her to know that it's not her fault, that this is that there's space for healing, and there's space for things being different. And I remember I had an ex who had I kind of that Charlie's story monologue is true to my life. And so I put that in because, I needed to say it. I didn't get the actual healing like the movie, but I did have a similar situation kind of in reverse, where an ex-boyfriend um made a cake when he was a kid, and I think it had penguins on it or something, and he won the cake competition, but his parents didn't show up. And he would, this is a grown man that was like really sad, talking about how his parents didn't show up when he won the cake competition, and it really meant a lot to me. He worked very hard. Anyway, so he came home one day, and I said, I have some stuff for you out, and I laid it out, and I was like, it's stuff for you to make your cake. And he made his cake, and we had, I just gave him the biggest hug, and I said, it's so beautiful. And we ate the cake. And then, he did next time he talked about that story, it didn't have that pain attached to it anymore. It had a positive, this whole holding space for it, and kind of flipping it, and realizing that sometimes these bad things happen, but if we can be there for each other, they don't have to stay hurting, and they don't have to stay like that.
With that in mind, too, like one of the things about this film that makes it so powerful is the obviously Bob won, if you will, her father, Lily's father. Because one of the things about this film, we talk about emotional abuse, and there's a lot of manipulation and complexity going on in some of these conversations where he almost feels like you're watching a game of chess where he's trying to move his mental pieces around the board.
Yeah.
And I would ask you, do you, and you don't have to answer this, I guess, if you don't want to, but do you think that Bob loves Lily?
I think he loves her as much as he can love himself. He loves her as much as he can get this time around. And I kind of do believe that, as we heal for the next generation, and we don't always get all, some generations don't always get all the way there. And sometimes it takes many, many lines of, great grandparents, grandparents, finally, some level, someone is a cycle breaker, and they say, enough is enough, and I'm going to do it differently. And they're going to make mistakes too, but they're not going to make those same mistakes. Right. And so, um, and we tried not to villainize him. French Stewart and I, we would say, hurt people, and every villain is the hero of their own story. And you just kind of like, so line was really important to me. You may not have had a best father, but you sure had a better father than I did. And just to like hold space for this this man is suffering. Yes, he's really, really doing the wrong things, and he's really being unkind and hurtful and cruel, but he is also really suffering, and he may not even know what it's like not to suffer,
Hmm.
because that's just his existence. So he's going to blame everybody, and he's going to, and that doesn't mean you can invite him over every day, and like, hey, boundaries are good, and that's a big point of the movie, but I think if he could have gotten there, he would have. And maybe he can. Maybe that's a sequel.
Yeah,
Let's
the
hope.
next
Let's
sequel is
hope.
We Like Bob Trevino. Is that
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Honestly, the entire cast does a wonderful job, and French Stewart. I'll be honest, I didn't recognize him. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just such a different role for him, and John's incredible, and the woman playing Lily, her name escapes me at this
Barbie
moment.
Ferreira.
Barb,
Yeah. Yes.
phenomenal, just
Yeah.
incredible performance.
And we have Lauren Lolo Spencer as Daphne, and she got nominated for an Indie Spirit Award for her very first role. This is only her second movie, and yeah, she's incredible. She's incredible. And Rachel Bay Jones, who's a Broadway legend, who has a Grammy, an Emmy, and a Tony, and I'm like, oh my God, like, she, yeah, I can't say enough good things about all of them. We really did become a little family. So
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Well, I know we're starting to run out of time here, but Tracy, before we wrap, I'd love to know what you hope people take away from Bob Trevino likes it.
I think, we're just in this period where where a lot of us feel like, oh, we're powerless and we're divided and I think um and we're all different, and I think my goal with this movie is to say that we're not all so different and that we're not powerless because you have no matter what's going on, no matter how you feel or what demographic you fit in, your acts of kindness have great power and you can change someone's life. You really truly can change someone's life. And if we all did that, maybe alone we might feel like it's just, one person, but if 8 billion people just were a little kinder, what a great world this would be, you know.
Honestly, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate this film. Bob Trevino likes it is, well, I liked Bob Trevino likes it a lot.
Steve likes
Um,
it.
honestly, Tracy, thank you so much for the time. I wish you the best with the film. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.